Last month, the engineering team at Google shipped a new open spec, the Open Knowledge Format, or OKF for short. And their pitch is that the thing holding LLMs back isn't raw intelligence anymore, it's context. A model needs the right information about your world to actually get things right. Within their announcement, they introduced OKF as a vendor-neutral open standard that helps with all of this by formalizing the LLM-wiki pattern into a portable, interoperable format. This is essentially Andrej Karpathy's idea, which he published as a GitHub gist back in April. And this spec, as they've laid out, is a directory of markdown files, which is also what Notion and Obsidian have been doing for years at this point. They do call out these sources of direct inspiration on their blog post, and I think the idea of an open vendor-neutral standard is powerful. You only need to look at the recent evolution of agent skills, for example, to see how commonly agreed patterns can absolutely catch fire. With the skills.sh directory, there's almost 1 million skills at this point. And the agent skills spec has a near identical markdown format to that of what was just released by Google. As part of the announcement, they published a 450 odd line spec that essentially formalizes what Andrej Karpathy put forth in that gist. So I used this spec to create an LLM-wiki for an application that we're building here on this channel. The application is a full stack AI agent platform that's built on Supabase, React, and Python. And using this spec, I let a coding agent loose to generate what you see on screen, which is a visualization of the LLM-wiki that was created. And this is in essence very similar to LLM-wiki visualized using Obsidian. So if we take a node here, which is PII redaction, so this is like a feature of the platform that we built in an episode on this channel. If we have a look at it in the back end, you can see that we have a defined YAML front matter along with the actual content of the wiki page. And if we compare that to Karpathy's gist, for example, it produces a similar YAML front matter along with the wiki page. Except there are a few interesting details that are worth talking about. Google has made a repo available that not only contains the spec, but it also contains samples of these visualizations, and some of these are pretty lean, whereas others have a lot more information. And what you're seeing here is the actual reading of the wiki side, whereas they have also made a reference agent available that you can use to generate these LLM wiki pages if you didn't want to use your own coding agent, for example. I didn't actually use this reference agent myself. Instead, I got Codex to ingest the OKF spec and then prompted it to carry out a deep dive in the codebase to generate the full documentation. And that's essentially what I have here. So this represents this entire application. In orange, we have workflows. Blue are API endpoints. Pink are front-end surfaces. So this represents the feature set as well as the technical interfaces to integrate, let's say, with this app. And this is the key point then. If I wanted to share information about this app with you, I could just send you this knowledge bundle and you could import it into your own coding agent or into your own second brain. And that is essentially the entire point of this standard, is that these are portable formats and they allow sharing between different parties on different platforms. How that could be shared then is this LLM wiki folder could essentially just be zipped up and sent off, or instead it could be pushed up to a GitHub repo and then people will be able to pull updates as they're made. And this is where the adoption side of the equation is so important, because right now Obsidian doesn't support this spec. So I've imported this folder into Obsidian, and you can see here that we have all of these index files, and the index file is a key part of the spec, which we'll talk about in a minute. And these are all essentially represented as nodes. We have PII redaction here, which I talked about a minute ago, but there are a few differences that are worth talking about, because it is essentially Karpathy's gist formalized. So that gist was a one-page note. It is now formalized into Google's spec that they have produced, which has mandatory front matter, reserved file names for interoperability. So the whole spec looks like this. And there's only one required field, which is the type field. All of the other metadata that you saw here, so type is required, everything else here is optional. Now there is a bit more to it, there's 450 odd lines in the spec, but it is worth keeping that in mind. There are also some interesting comparisons to agent skills as well. A skill is essentially just a folder with a markdown file inside that teaches an agent how to do a specific task. It's procedural know-how, often with runnable code, and that's all loaded through progressive disclosure so it doesn't blow out the context window. Now, if you put OKF next to it, it's the same idea. It's a folder of markdown files with YAML front matter but it's pointed at a completely different job. Because skills tell an agent how to do something, whereas the open knowledge format tells an agent what you know. It's the facts, the declarative facts that exist in your particular world, in your business, in your life, whatever you use agents for. And these are two portable layers. It's the same convention, but they're sitting at different levels. And you can use them together. So, and skill, let's say, could point at an OKF bundle for its particular knowledge. And they have the same progressive disclosure pattern as well. So with skills, for example, you only ever see all of the listed skills, and it's a tool call for an agent to load up a particular skill, and it works its way deeper and deeper into that skill. If there are associated files nested in that folder, it can load them up as and when it needs to. And this open knowledge format is actually similar. So within these folders, you have these index files, and this is where it is different to Karpathy's LLM-wiki. You can see this index file here, and that essentially explains to an agent what is in all of these folders. And if you jump into a specific folder, there is also another index file. This has a lot of similarities to the skills registry that's loaded into an agent at runtime. But as I mentioned, this is not what Obsidian currently supports, so all of these indexes are essentially nodes that show up and are almost polluting the actual graph in this case. From an agent's perspective then, these index files are very useful because usually it would just get a tree structure of the directory and it would need to rely on the naming conventions of the files. Whereas now it can always just load up the specific index file and it has the one-line explainer, again similar to skills. And then obviously once it loads up a particular wiki article, like the PII redaction one, then you have your standard interlinking with other pages, and that's essentially what determines the edges on the graph, be it here in Google's visualizer or in the likes of Obsidian. These index files would make it a lot easier for an agent to traverse through a very large LLM-wiki of possibly thousands of files. When the LLM-wiki concept was published, there was a lot of commentary on how this folder essentially beats the vector database. It beats vector RAG. And even since this dropped last month, there have been a few more RAG is dead headlines. But I do think there's a lot of confusion here. LLM-wiki solves a very particular problem, whereas RAG solves a completely different problem. So I do think it's an error in category. And absolutely, when it comes to searching across a knowledge base, naive RAG totally is dead, but agentic RAG is still the standard. And adding a curated knowledge layer is an approach that you can take, but it's not always the right approach. But I don't see this as necessarily competing with RAG. I think they are complementary approaches. With LLM wikis, you're essentially curating and maintaining the answer up front instead of chunking and rederiving answers on every call. We go into a lot more detail on this in our AI Architects course within our community. We have a dedicated agentic retrieval module which has lessons on compiled knowledge, which is what this LLM wiki approach is, along with all of the other various retrieval approaches. I'll leave a link to our courses and community in the description below. A really nice feature of this format is this resource parameter. So you can see it here with this PII redaction type. The resource is pointing to the particular Python file. And that's an important point, that this page isn't copying everything from that file. Instead, it's pointing to the source of truth. That could be a database table, for example. It could be an API endpoint. But instead of bundling everything in the actual wiki article, you're just pointing to where you should go to get the latest version of the data. And this really helps because stale data is a real problem in these curated knowledge layers. It's always good just to reference the live data and keep that markdown file as thin as possible. A key aspect of the LLM wiki pattern is making the LLM essentially the librarian. So as Karpathy put it, an LLM doesn't get bored, it doesn't forget to update a cross-reference, and it can touch 15 different files in a single pass. So the tedious bookkeeping that makes humans abandon their personal wikis is exactly the thing that makes LLMs very good at it. And Google did something pretty clever in this repo, which is they've designed a producer agent. It's what they describe as the reference agent. And this is essentially the librarian, but they've designed him in such a way that actually there are more deterministic guardrails around how it updates and maintains the wiki. And it's all tied into the one required field in this spec, which is the type field. So in their example, if the type field is BigQuery table, then when the agent goes to create or update a wiki page of that type, the actual tool call code has custom guardrails built in to apply specific logic to validate the data. So in their case, they built logic so that if the agent tries to enrich a document by fetching a URL, it needs to ensure that the agent actually fetched the URL in the first place and it didn't just hallucinate the URL itself. And the second is that when the model rewrites a document, because these are BigQuery tables, there is a schema within the body of the article. They have written deterministic validation logic against the write action of the agent. So if what it writes would shrink the real verified schema or drop citations which appear at the end, it would refuse to write it. And all of this logic is essentially in the harness layer because it is modifying how agents can write and edit files. So you could do it with Karpathy's LLM-wiki by maybe using hooks within Claude Code, but it is an interesting idea that they brought in around validation of the wiki pages as they're being maintained. So as you can see, there is some good stuff in this spec. The shape itself is quite nice, plain markdown files, diffable in version control, so they're auditable. There's no lock-in, it's not a proprietary format. There are a few catches to it. The simplicity of the format means that OKF is standardizing, let's say, the container, but not necessarily the knowledge itself. And what I mean by that is, let's say I had a knowledge bundle where I describe customers as customers. So within that required field type, I have type customer. If I was to share that bundle with you, if you described your customers as clients, then they would be represented as two different entity types, let's say, within your knowledge base. So by design, there is no registering of types. They're essentially free text fields. And if we were combining those two bundles together, those two things wouldn't line up. And similar to the way Obsidian works, the links between concepts, they are untyped essentially. So we can tell, for example, that PII redaction is linked to document knowledge base data. We can tell it's linked to security and RLS, but it's not exactly describing what that linkage is, what that edge is. And that's what I mean by it standardizes the container, because any agent can essentially open any knowledge bundle, but it's not necessarily comparable knowledge because the meanings might be different. And usually the structure is actually the easy bit. The curation is going to be the hard bit, because if you don't keep on top of maintaining and curating the wiki, then the whole thing can slowly rot away over time. So you really need an LLM on a schedule or with hooks to jump on new files, jump on changes or deletions, and then you as a human need to moderate and review it over time. And the reason for this is you are making a duplicate of your source of truth, which you already own, and that copy can essentially drift. I went into detail on this in our Pinecone Nexus video when talking about compiled knowledge layers. Because essentially a pre-compiled artifact could be stale 5 minutes after you create it. If the AI doesn't trigger the update, or if you forget to regenerate it, that bundle effectively is out of date, and then your context is out of date. Within the spec then, you have the knowledge bundle, which is the self-contained hierarchical collection of knowledge documents. A concept then is essentially a single unit of knowledge within a bundle. So for example, customers. A concept ID is the path. This is the folder structure. So tables is a folder, and then users.md would be the concept. Front matter we talked about, that is the YAML metadata block at the top with the body underneath. Links are then within the body. You have standard markdown links to link one concept to another. That's what creates the edges on the graph. And then you have citations that appear at the bottom. And these are links from a concept to an external source that supports a claim in the body. So you essentially saw the bundle structure. We saw the global index file. There's also an optional log file. And then within each subdirectory, there are also index files. And that's what's different to Karpathy's LLM-wiki, which only has a global index file. Type field is required, but as I mentioned, not registered centrally. Producer should pick values that are descriptive and self-explanatory. And then other fields, title, description, resource, tags, timestamp, they're all recommended but optional. And then you can just add whatever other keys that you want specific to your use case. And then within the body, even though there's lots of examples like this BigQuery table where there's schema and joins and citations, there are no required sections. Then there's standard cross-linking, there's absolute links, which are relative to the root, there's relative links. And as we looked at on the graph, a link asserts essentially a relationship between concepts. And the specific kind of relationship is only described in text. It's not actually labeled within the edge itself. So overall, plenty of positives with this new format. I think the question is, will it actually take off? Will it be adopted by the main players in the industry? To be honest, I think the way they actually position this repo will put a lot of people off. It's way too Google orientated. It uses BigQuery as a data source. There's the Google Knowledge Catalog as a context layer. It uses Gemini for this enrichment producer agent. So even though it is technically vendor neutral and it's an open license, they probably shouldn't have plugged so much of their own products into this. Because I was able to get this entire thing up and running and created an LLM-wiki aligned to this format without actually doing any of that. If you're interested in that topic of compiled knowledge layers for an AI agent, then definitely check out this video here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.